Hey, Chrissy here. I am a landscape architect and the owner of Kismet Design. I am a very process-driven designer, and I love sharing what I do and how I do it with anyone who's interested. Reaching your true potential and achieving your own personal goals will not happen by chance. You have to set your intentions, make a plan, and do the work. Thank you for joining me to nerd out on design. Don't forget to subscribe and to share too. Let's create something great together. Well, now that the Northwest Flower and Garden Show is over and I've had a few days to take a deep breath, I thought I would give you one last update before we move on to other topics. I guess somewhat of a postmortem of sorts to kind of recap how the show went. Overall, the show was good. The garden turned out amazing. Before I jump in to how the show went, I want to explain a little bit about the garden. So the name of the garden is the Gathering Garden. The dream for the Gathering Garden revolves around bringing together friends and family. The time spent in the garden with loved ones extends your time together and builds lasting memories. Having a garden space that welcomes family and friends to stay, play, and gather will foster connection and joy. Gardens with spaces for all ages allow everyone to gather and enjoy the time spent outdoors together, whether grilling up dinner, sitting around the fire pit, a dip in the pool, or relaxing to read a book. Everyone has a space they dream of retreating to and sharing together. For me personally, the idea of the Gathering Garden is really what I strive to create for all of my clients. And personally, it is something that I strive to create in my own personal garden, mainly because of the stage of life I'm in. I have teenage kids, and I want to be the house that they bring all of their friends to. I want to bring all of them together and just be in their orbit as they are discovering their independence. So having a space that they feel excited about and want to welcome their friends to is great. I also want to be the house where we can host family birthday parties and gatherings and holidays and you name it. Having that space where everyone feels welcome and at home and comfortable is really what it's all about. And we don't host a ton of big gatherings just because we are so busy with sports. But when we do have those opportunities, it is something that I'm really happy to have the space to do. And so creating those spaces for my clients and really understanding how they gather and how their family dynamics and dynamics of friends are, and creating a space that really is very conducive and welcoming to how they want to use the space is what it's all about. I am so incredibly proud of how it turned out. The install went super smoothly. The crew was a huge factor in this. And takedown on Monday after the show went equally as well. The portion of the show where the garden was open for public viewing went well, and I had some really great conversations with potential clients, fellow designers, and various vendors and contractors. And making those connections is really the highlight of the whole thing. My favorite part of the entire experience was really the planning and the building. The team was amazing, and I had so much fun collaborating with the build team and all of the vendors and artists that contributed to the garden. Hopefully, you're following me on Instagram and you've seen tons of pictures of all the different artists that were involved, all the different materials. Needless to say, I've taken a good jillion pictures of the garden. And although it's a little sad that it's no longer in existence, I'm still posting pictures because I'm still looking through them and highlighting things that I really find exciting. Once the garden was done in construction and open to the public, I honestly got really drained. It is so much work. It is such long days. It is emotionally and mentally exhausting. And then being basically a garden bouncer and standing in front of the garden and answering questions and having to really be on all day just is really very tiring. It was great, don't get me wrong, but the introvert in me has a really hard time keeping my energy up with the constant flow of people, conversations, and interactions, and not getting a chance to kind of sink back into a corner and hide for a few minutes. The true connections, like the clients that have already reached back out to schedule consultations and reunions with past colleagues, designers, and collaborators, were really the thing that kept me energized and kept me from crawling into that corner for a nap. It was really eye opening for me. It made me realize how much I control my interactions with people on a day to day basis in my business. And really, it works well for me. On the other hand, it's really good for me to step out of my comfort zone and push myself. Before you ask if I'm going to do it again, I need a little bit more time to breathe. I equate this to asking a mother that just gave birth if she's having more kids. Give her a little time. If you haven't already seen the photos, please, please, please check it out on Instagram or Facebook. I also have a handful of pictures up on the website. We will be updating that. That comes a little slower than Instagram. It turned out amazing. The feature of the garden that got the most attention was the deck. Not only did it have pop-up lounge chairs built in, but the entire deck was on rails to slide over the pool. And yes, it really worked. So I was sliding the deck, I don't know, at least 40 times a day back and forth. I used muscles in my shoulders I didn't even know I had. In a real garden on someone's property, I would definitely put some mechanics behind it, but for the garden show purposes, it was Chrissy powered. If you want to get an insider view of how I went about designing the garden, especially an insight into going from a blank slate to deciding who the garden was for and creating that fictitious client that I was designing for and dreaming up the space for, I am doing a free Zoom class/webinar coming up on March 12th. You can sign up on my website. I will also put a link in the show notes. I really hope to see you there. It's really an insight into how I went about designing the garden, but also some prompts and some ideas about how to create a vision for a garden space, whether that is for yourself, for your clients, or how to really put some framework around how to guide clients to figure out what it is that they really want and how they will use the space. Because that's a really important aspect to give you a lot of information as you're designing for somebody else. And I think we can all agree in our own gardens, it ends up being a little bit of a mismatch because we've got too many ideas, and synthesizing into one idea for our own garden is really challenging. So there's some tidbits and some ideas in there that you can even take into your own personal garden. So as one last recap of the Northwest Flower and Garden Show Gathering Garden, I just want to leave you with some thoughts on putting together display gardens is really something that I found through the process was super fun, super rewarding, very exciting. But really, it's all about figuring out what your reason for doing it is. Are you doing it for potential clients? Are you doing it for accolades? Are you doing it to just have an outlet for creative expression without the boundaries of budget and client and properties? There's so many different reasons, and all the designers that I talked to that created stunning gardens at the garden show all had a little bit different take on this, and I find that very intriguing and very interesting. So if you're thinking about doing a display garden, feel free to reach out to me. Definitely tune in to the webinar on March 12th. Again, sign up for that. It is a free webinar. It's going to be an open style Zoom meeting. So there's going to be lots of options to ask questions and pop into the discussion. And I hope to see you there. To wrap up, I want to thank you for your time. I hope the ideas discussed today have left you feeling excited and energized. As I build both my business and my life, I value the support and feedback you provide. I would love for you to reach out to me to let me know what you think, give me ideas, or just to connect. Please don't forget to subscribe and also share with a friend. Until next time, go create something wonderful.